It's time for the beeline. It's time for the beeline.
And we're back. People. Welcome back to the Beeline. This your boy Brian B. Brian B. Yo, IT Tips not here with us today. Just Brian B in the lab today. We have a very fun show for you today. It's going to be a little bit different than the Beeline's ever done, but I'm very appreciative of that. The audience is going to be a little larger after this one, I believe. We have a guest today on the screen, but of course, we got to shout out our sponsor. We have a sponsor, and that's Rails Ways Catering. If you got an event, you got a party, you got a wedding, you got anything where you need some good food, Rails Way Catering. He's an amazing chef. I've grown up with him. He travels to you. He does all types of events. He's working very hard for the Thanksgiving holiday season right now. And the foods, he got a lot of healthy options. That's one of the biggest things that, he goes by. He wants to have a really good lifestyle. He believes in that himself, and he believes in pushing it forward. So Rails Way Catering, check him out on Instagram, Food Dreads Fitness, Rails Way Catering. Thank you very much, Rel. All right, let's jump into the episode of the Beeline today. Yo, your boy must be doing different things because we got different experiences we about to live with right now. I'll just let you guys know it's going to be a little bit of a touchy subject. We're going to talk about some things today, but it's going to be very interesting. I have here with me today Miss Gloria Hass. Gloria, how are you doing, Gloria? You can go ahead and speak to the Beeline.
I'm doing pretty good, Brian. Thanks for having me on. I'm really looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, I was too. It's very interesting. I'm gonna pretty much kind of just let you have this one a little bit so you can explain everything the right way, because I have a tendency to kind of put things in my own perspective, and I don't want to do that. So Gloria is going to take the floor, Beeline, and she's going to explain exactly what she is and what she does, and I hope you guys find it interesting, and we're going to talk a lot about it. So Gloria, without further ado, introduce yourself and what's your field of expertise, and let it shine.
Well, my field of expertise is spiritual reading, and I'm also a life coach. And there are a lot of times when my spiritual readings actually meld together with life coaching questions. So I'm able to help people, let's say they are confused about something, or they're at a fork in the road, which way do I turn? Or, what direction do I go? And, they're stuck. And, it's like, well, they just have a lot of questions. And sometimes it's really funny. It's not really funny, but the look of surprise on their face when they say, should I go into this or this? And what I'm reading is neither one. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
So I let people know I don't make things up. I'm completely honest with, my readings. And if I cannot read a person at all, I'll refund them their money, because I'm not going to be like the others and I don't use cards, who make things up just so they can keep the money. I'm not that way at all. And while I do like to pay the bills, I am extremely honest. And I tell people what I see or what I hear. And there are times when people have asked a question that I don't pick anything up on it at all in any way, shape, or form. And I'll tell them, I'm not getting anything right now. Maybe in the future something will come along, but right now, nothing is coming up.
That's very interesting. All right. So, I definitely have a lot of questions. I definitely have a lot of things that I do want to talk about on this topic, because it is a very interesting topic. Those spiritual readings, for everybody on the Beeline who don't understand, like Gloria is saying, like she kind of speaks things that we don't tend to see. You see things differently than we see. Is that fair enough to say?
Well, it's okay. There are people with autism, they see in images. I'm not autistic, but I do tend to see images, or I hear words. let's say that somebody says, oh gosh, I can't even think of, for instance, right now, or
No, it always is.
I know, or where should I take a trip? Or I see a picture of something and I'll tell them right now, I see you in a wooded area, or
Yeah,
I see you on the beach. It's whatever I see.
I got
And
you.
I can hear words. One of my readings, I heard the word pencil. And I looked at the young lady and I said, what is it about pencils? And she said, because everybody's on me because I prefer pencils instead of using pens.
Wow, really?
Yes. And one reading I did was mother-daughter, and the mom was, I looked at her, I said, what is there about guitars? And the daughter looked at the mom and goes, mom doesn't play guitar. And the mother said, I only thought it, but never told anyone. I was thinking of playing guitars, but I didn't want to have to cut my fingernails, so I didn't do it.
Yeah. See, I got a question right
Go
off the
ahead.
bat. See, one of the things that, and I'm going to try to do this a lot just so I can kind of like, give some feedback on what, on your field.
Mm-hmm.
How much of that is intuition based? And when I'm saying that, I mean not off of like your abilities. Like how much is it like I feel like this is where this person's coming from? How much of a sense of a person or a knowledge of a person do you have before you're able to kind of give these kind of readings? Or is it kind of just like, bam, I met you and that's just what I'm thinking?
I was in a psychic fair. I prefer to call myself clairvoyant.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's just a different use of the word. It was interesting because I decided for the first time, I had a half an hour slot. Let's do general readings. So the people come up, I can tap into their energy. And one woman said it was very immediate. She had a very strong energy, and it kept overpowering. So I told the person, because I wrote their names down in order of who said they wanted a reading.
Yeah.
And so I was going in that order. And I told the one person, I said, I'm going to need to come back to you because this woman's energy is so strong that I am unable to read you right now because her energy was just out there and I could feel it washing over me. And as soon as I gave the reading, it was over. And I could go on to another reading. So I can basically do them right away.
That's where it's like, the craziness of that comes in. Just you speaking about like the energy. And I'm pretty sure you're using energy as like a term to just describe the feeling. Is that right? Because it's not like something that you can, is it like an aura, or is it something that's just like, it's just a presence? Like, sometimes when you feel somebody watching you and you don't even see them, but you're looking forward and you feel like there's eyes on you. It's a feeling, you know what I mean? It's a sixth sense, whatever you want to call it. It's just something that's there that you can't explain why it's there, but it's there. It's a presence. Is that kind of what that feeling is?
Yes, it is. And it's, yes, I tap into that energy. And there's some people I could be around that I'm extremely uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
And that is usually because they're on the dark side.
Oh,
And
really?
once I can raise my vibrations up, I'm no longer uncomfortable. But if they're, let's say that they killed people in their past and everything, I can feel that from them.
Listen, talking to somebody like me, like, I'm somebody who's, I'm not really too much, a skeptical. I'm not skeptical too much. Like maybe I am. I don't know. I do question things. Like I always try to make sure that, before I just, dive headfirst into the belief pool, like I want to make sure that I'm actually like being real with myself and being honest with myself and being logical. One of the things I did like about what you said was, we've talked and you said, you're very honest. You don't want to sit there and just be, in the realm of making money and just like, not being real with people and just taking taking advantage of, maybe somebody lost somebody or whatever. Taking advantage of your abilities with people. And I think that is very, that's a very good thing that you do for people. I always lose my words when I'm trying to sit there and sound like, what's it called? Gloria, I think we lost your audio.
No, I'm back.
Oh, there you go. Okay, cool, 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 cool.
No, I just muted it because I had to cough, but I didn't want to cough over you.
Look, 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 look. You're a professional. You know what's going on. But that is a lot of basically, like, you've hit the mark where you're saying, like, you're honest, like, you're not trying to take advantage of people. This is just a gift that you're trying to use to benefit people at this point. So tell us a little bit more about your life coach experience.
Well, I've been a life coach for over 25 years, and it was
Oh,
when I
wow.
had, yes, and I needed to do something. I was at home, I had become disabled, and the doctor even told me that I needed to do something. So I was married at the time, and he suggested, why don't you coach people in business and life? So I did, and I wasn't able to drive, but he would take me over to the people's house and sit out in the car while I help entrepreneurs with their businesses at home. And now that we have technology, I can go ahead and utilize it that way. But I mostly do more of the spiritual readings. But I do Mondays with Gloria, life coaching videos on YouTube every Monday. Beautiful. Or most Mondays. So I will be taking off the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Got to recover. I'm gonna be recovering after that. Hey, Beeline.
I'll be working that Thursday through Sunday. I have time slotted for people for 10-minute readings. So I don't know how many people will take up advantage on it or not.
That's brings up a good point. I was about to say something, but I'm more interested in this. So like you said, this is a business for you. You get messages. I guess I'm guessing on like Facebook and Instagram, stuff like that. And people are, what are they mostly calling for? Like, what's your typical client? And they're saying, "Hey, Gloria, how you doing? I would love a reading to find out what." Like, what's the big ones?
The big ones are relationships. Is there somebody? Where's my Prince Charming? And I was joking with one of the women. I said, yeah, I'm told I'll get mine in the future. Mine will arrive in the future. And she said, they must be on holiday. I said, yeah, having the time of their life. But people look at relationships, but mostly it's about, where's my business going? Which direction should I take? Should I continue with this, or should I get a job? Or, should I continue with this business, or should I continue with my other business? And that's mostly the big take. I did have a client ask me about her health, and I just looked at her and I said, don't take the iron supplements. She looked at me and said, what? I said, don't take the iron supplements. And she said, I just bought a bottle. I said, contact your doctor and have your blood drawn. So I do get medical as well as mostly business.
It's gonna be a hell of a feeling, man, to sit there and have all of that. Like, when you meet somebody, you know what I'm saying? Meeting somebody, alone is a lot, especially somebody you have to kind of interfere with and, deal with in life. When you're meeting somebody, you're taking on like this whole kind of different energy from them. Sometimes I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who don't even want to know anything or don't even want to, get a reading. Do you kind of just pick up on a little bit from everybody that you speak with, or is it just only people that you're in close proximity to? Or
no, I can do it over the phone. I can do it over the internet. No, I can do it complete strangers.
Yeah.
Sometimes it depends, because it depends on what's unfolding in their life and their energy, whether I get a lot or I get a little.
What's typically something that you notice? I don't know if you've been able to pick up, or if you get anybody who's told you. What's the biggest things that you'll pick up, as far as like, is it people that are going through really rough times, or is it people that's really happy? Like, what is the biggest one where you're like, damn, this person is shining right now?
I can pick up whether they're high vibration, whether they're sad. I can pick up all of that. But if they're very guarded, I'm not always able to pick up on things unless they relax and they're open. Gotcha. So then I can pick up more with that. And it's interesting with readings, because let's say I do a reading on you, Brian, and you're like, well, you come back 2 weeks later, you want something later that day, you may still get the same reading. I don't remember what the readings are. I just do them, and I just let it go. But I have noticed like with myself, I had a reading done, let's say August, and I was told a certain amount. I waited a month and went to other people for a reading, and it was similar to what I received the month before, but with one or two more nuggets or tidbits. So there's always a chance that, and then I went ahead the next month, and then they said things will start falling together, and I almost went on another reading this month when it came to me. It's like, okay, I've been waiting. Do I need to go to find out where it is, or are you going to bring it to me? And it came to me.
Gotcha.
Because I was ready at that point. But also new things can come up, or you just might get the same stuff, like I said, with one or two new nuggets. Or when somebody does a reading, let's say I could have said something that was in the past in your life. Or I could tell you part of your genealogy without even, you might not even look Native American Indian. And I'll say, I see an Indian warrior princess. And the person can look and say, well, I'm only a quarter or an eighth Native American Indian.
Yeah.
So I am able to pick up on some personal things that I wouldn't be able to find out on Facebook, or because I don't believe in background checks. I don't read up on people. I just do the actual reading. But I can also read what's going on now, or I could tell you something that's going to happen in the future that may not be happening now.
That's the most interesting one, because that's one of the ones that, that's very difficult. Because then you get that realm of like people who, I guess like you're saying, like people who want to know about like their businesses and stuff like that. Those are people who are going to want to come in and say, hey, what's going on? Like, am I going to be, prosperous this year? Am I going to do well? Is this business going to be of my best interest? Those are the people that you want to kind of like have those future kind of readings. I'm guessing, you know what I mean? But then you have people that's like, if you want to hear about something in the future, like sometimes the future isn't the best. Sometimes the future is like, maybe you just want to live your life and kind of just make your decisions. Maybe you feel a little bit less in control. Like, if you know something about you, or even if it's skepticism involved and you're like, well, I don't, why should I believe that? It's still something that's there, that's put out there. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen to you. I do this all the time. This is what you got. And then you got a person that's like, well, I don't believe that shit anyway. But at the end of the day, it's still in your head. Like, she said that. Why did she say that? Like, is it going to happen? Could it be? It's still got to be there. So that's kind of scary, man. It's got to be a little bit uneasy for people. It's got to be a little bit uneasy for you too at times.
No, because I cannot attach myself emotionally, and it is uncomfortable for others. I did a first time reading for a woman, and she got very upset with me, burst into tears and said, you didn't tell me what I wanted to hear. Yeah. And she asked me, where am I going to be successful with my business, or do I need to get a job outside the home? And I said, you're going to be in 3 to 6 year drought with your business, and it's always going to limp along. I said, I see you outside the home working in another job. I saw her. She lost weight. She was highly successful in corporate America. And she didn't want to hear it because she didn't want to work outside the home.
Gotcha. Hey,
so I can only show you what I see. And depending on what path the person takes will depend on what doors are going to open and what doors are going to close.
Gotcha. Well, Gloria, that's very, 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 interesting, man. I mean, I've never met anybody, with those kind of abilities. I'm very big on paranormal, information and stuff like that. I've did a couple of podcasts where I've talked about different things. And those, usually that genre is where you hear a lot of, this kind of talk, whatever. You're speaking about it more like a business way. I've never really, paid attention to that, because you see the movies and stuff like that. That's really all it's based about. Like, where you got poltergeist or you got this and that. It's always a medium that's coming in, or like a clairvoyant who's speaking about like, seeing family members or whatever. But you're doing it to kind of try to help people, have a vision for their future or their progression or something like that. And being honest with you, like you said with the one lady. Let me ask you a question before we dive a little deeper into some deeper things.
Okay.
When did you first notice your abilities? Let's try that.
I was 5 or 6 years old.
Oh, wow. That's early.
and I could see demons and spirits.
Woo.
And yeah,
Into it.
and they were in my room and they would move. You know, those, I don't know, you're probably too young to remember, but we had twin-sized beds, the heavy wood beds that a child could not move.
Got you.
My parents would accuse me moving it to the middle of my room. It was
Oh, really?
My bed would be surrounded with demons pushing my bed, and I would be screaming.
Yeah, that shit right there. See, stuff like that, that's where your boy Brian V checks out. Like, it's very, yo, listen, but you want to know what's crazy, Gloria? Like I said, like, I've always been interested in that field. Like, you know what I'm saying? Definitely not to where I'm doing anything about it. But I like to hear stories. I like to, like, you know, watch the haunting shows and stuff like that on the TV channels. And I'm huge on horror. I love horror movies and things like that. But you know, I'm never like, I don't want to nowhere near around any of that stuff or whatever. But it's interesting. And it's crazy that when you're watching those movies and things like that or whatever, and just you're hearing these stories based on true events and this and that or whatever. And like, well, skepticism is like a huge topic on in this like kind of genre. But it's always like, if that is what's happening, and there's people that are believing it and not believing it, but if it is what's happening, petrifying, man. It's like, I can't imagine you being 5-6 years old and dealing with something like that. Like, it's unreal. Like, how did you get through that? Like, what was the progress you had to make?
Well, my parents and my brother laughed at me. And, you know, it's like I just withdrew, became an extreme introvert because nobody was going to believe me. I didn't want to go to bed at night. I made my mom keep the light on when I went to sleep because in the dark, nasty things happened. And it was very, very difficult. I slept with the light on until I think I was 10 or 11 because my parents would go to bed and I would get up, turn the light on and get back into bed.
Yeah, it's gotta be horrifying. There's a lot of people who are, you know, scared of the dark, and I'm actually one of them. When I was younger, I was very scared of the dark. I didn't like sleeping without, like, you know, a night light and stuff like that or whatever. It grew into more of, now I like to sleep with the TV on. But a big thing of it now is like I kind of think too much. So it's like, you know, if I don't have something that's like occupying my mind with just like mindless stuff, like I'll watch like, you know, old, you know, TV series and stuff like that, just kind of just stop thinking about the day and what I got to do tomorrow, or whatever, or what show I'm doing. So I just like to watch mindless things until I just kind of drift off. So it's not really too much about the dark, but the dark is a scary place, man. You know, especially for a kid, you have a wild imagination that's running all over the place. And, you know, you look at anything, you got the little toy sitting in the little chair, and it looks like the biggest scary freaking figure you ever seen. And then you turn the light on, and it's like, oh, it's just, you know, Bart Simpson or whatever.
Oh, but, gosh, even the light on that would be scary.
Really, right? But yeah, I mean, for you, like, you know, somebody who has these abilities and you can see these different things that, you know, we can't see. Like I said, we're going to get a little deeper into this. I do want to ask you some questions, and I hope that, you know, it's comfortable.
Oh, I'm fine. I'm having a fun time.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, because there's certain things that, you know, I do believe in, like, you know, as far as like inner dimensions and stuff like that or whatever, as far as like, you know, even as deep as like, you know, alien presences and stuff like that or whatever. I believe in a lot of different things. I don't believe in it like wholeheartedly because I've never experienced it, but I do have an open mind because I do see the possibility. At least I'm not closed to that kind of like thought. But with you coming on saying that you have these abilities to see this stuff, what makes you think that, what gave you this, or why do you think you were chosen to have kind of these abilities? Do you ever thought about that?
Yes, and my mom had this gift. It came down, like we had discussed before the show. My mom's mother's side of the family is from Romania, and they are bona fide gypsies. So they were into card reading, reading palms and stuff. And I didn't realize that my mom would always have me dress up as a gypsy for Halloween. And I got tired of it. It's like, Mom, she said, but you look the part. And I had really long hair and, you know, and it was like, but I got tired of it. But anyway, that's where the gift came down, was from all the women on my mother's side, mother's maternal side of the family. My mother had this gift, but not developed to the point that mine is.
Good.
I saved a lot on phone bills. This is before cell phones, people. I would telepathically tell my mom that I needed for her to call me, and she would. She goes, "What's wrong?" Or "Why are you wanting me to call you?" That would be it. And then if I felt her a lot, I would call her, and she said, I would always call and collect. And my mom said, "No, I won't accept the charges." And she'd call me right back. So that's the gift that my mom used it to that extent.
Is there any possibility that that could have been taught? Is that anything that you can teach, you think?
No.
No?
Well, if somebody has the gift, and it is a gift,
Yeah.
you can help guide the person on how to use it responsibly. But this is not something that I believe you can tap into and just do, because I have the knowing without basis of knowing about something about somebody. If people tell me, "How do you know that?" I said, "I just know." Well, you can't go saying that because there's no bona fide truth. And then the truth comes out that I was right. Not saying that, hey, I'm right, but it's looking at, this is where the gift is with me.
Yeah, that's something, like, even a lot of times I listen, you hear it in politics a lot, where you're talking about people make a lot of like claims and a lot of different things. Like, I don't know if you listen to any like the InfoWars or any stuff like that, like Alex Jones. No. Yeah, I listen to. I try to keep my eyes open to a lot of different things, but he's one of the guys where Alex Jones, he's like famous conspiracy theorist. Everybody says. But he, speculates on like, how the world's ran and things like that or whatever. And people are really quick to say, "Oh, you're full of shit. You're this, you're that, whatever." But then at the same time, it's like, there's a lot of things that come out and they're very truthful in what he's saying. And there's some things that are kind of like, oh, well, thrown against the wall. But there's some things where it's like, okay, this man actually has some knowledge on what he's talking about. And those are the kind of situations where you're like, yeah, you want to be, critical about what somebody's speaking about. But then when there's like truth to it, it's like, how much you going to bat that person down? Like, you have to kind of open your eyes a little bit. Like, okay, something's going on. You might not want to admit it, but something's definitely going on. And that's why I choose to kind of keep an open mind in all situations, because I'm not going to be the person that's like, I don't believe it, so it's just not happening. It's not there. No matter what I see or what I hear, it doesn't matter. You can't be closed-minded, man. You have to be open. There's a lot of different people in this world. There's a lot of different things in this world that people don't understand. And for me, this is one of them. I mean, I've never met anybody who had these abilities. And like you said, it's a gift. I can imagine. But yeah. So let's get a little deeper. I
would like to say one thing about conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
There's always truth behind them.
Yeah, I believe it too. That's one thing I definitely believe. There's always the phrase, where there's smoke, there's usually fire, you know what I mean? And that's kind of how I feel about it too. I hear Joe Rogan, you know what I'm saying? I always quote Joe Rogan podcast, but he says it a lot. He's had Alex Jones on his show a couple of times. I was listening to Alex Jones for a very long time. And he's very, very like, I'm talking about Alex Jones right now, but it's just because it kind of, my thoughts are going in that pattern to what you were just talking about like believing somebody, even, or not believing somebody, even though they're truthful. Like, it's shit that's being shown that they're honestly speaking. But when there's smoke, there's fire. So it's like, you're saying something and maybe, you're overreacting. Maybe you're, saying things that you shouldn't be saying about it, but you got it from somewhere. And that's what I think too. I'm a firm believer in that. I don't think anybody's just completely making things up. Not that some people aren't, but.
Well, if your gut level's telling you, yes, I believe, whatever they're saying, I believe because it resonates with me, then there is that truth. And then people can look at what's really going on. And I kept telling people back from 2006, and then when we had, I don't want to really go into politics, but when we had the people running, I was telling people, you don't want to vote for so-and-so because this is the way life is going to be. And it unfolded behind the scenes. I knew a truck driver was sending me pictures of guillotines that were going to the detention camps. Those
Oh,
are for the
wow.
freedom fighters and the Christians to be beheaded.
Oh, really?
But that person didn't get to bring it into being. So we'll see what happens, this time around.
Yeah. I think that's what everybody's kind of saying now. I don't want to get too much in politics either. I'm so done with politics. Like, the president, whoever it is at this point, like, yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's just so much going on in the world right now. How has COVID-19 affected, like, your business? Has it gotten stronger, or has it kind of slacked a little bit?
Well, people were asking me ahead of time, and I never charged for it. But now I reopened it as a business.
Gotcha.
So actually, people want to know more about their personal stuff with people going back to work. Nobody asked me if I'm going to get COVID. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I just hope not. And it's interesting because I'm signing up new clients every week to answer your question.
Gotcha.
And I was talking with someone I know today, and before she didn't wear her mask all the time, she didn't wash her hands. And I knew that people close to her were going to get COVID. And we were talking on the phone today, and a coworker of her husband's and a couple of relatives have COVID. So now she's being more responsible with what's going on. And
that's
so
one thing.
I do have some of those heads up at times.
Got you. That's one thing I actually I was thinking about. I just got the question as you were talking about that right there. How is it like? How's your life been like growing up? Knowing this, I had the question a little bit better thought out in my head when I was thinking about it. But how has your life been having this experience, knowing these different things? Has it made it easy for you to kind of like live an easygoing life, or has it been kind of a challenging life because you've had so many responsibilities that you felt because you getting all this information at all times?
Well, my life was challenging. I grew up in a war zone, extremely abusive, traumatic. That's what my parents,
Really?
Extremely abusive parents, yes. My mother would grab me and throw me up against a wall. And, my dad would beat my brother and I with a stick till we couldn't sit down, literally.
Yeah.
So that was what my life was like. But because of that, I knew what was going to happen certain times. And my mom would always threaten us, wait till your father gets home, because she would take delight in threatening us. And it was not a very healthy atmosphere.
Yeah, that's horrible. Yeah. Speaking of somebody with kids, man, like me and my co-host, that's usually here, we were just talking about that recently. Like, some things that kids have to deal with, man, is horrible. Like, there's a difference between discipline and just freaking, torment. And when you're enjoying disciplining your kids and stuff like that or whatever, like, this, I personally can't understand it, because it's just like, you got something. First of all, like, kids are innocent, man, for the most part. You start to get older and you got to, steer the child in the right direction and everything. But, kids are so innocent, man. And when you're just taking joy for, dominating innocent things, it's like the kids that are, killing kittens and stuff like that. Like, how strong do you feel? But, I'm not trying to, get into that topic either. That's kind of rabbit hole.
And I know you were surprised to hear that
it's
extremely abusive family.
Yeah.
But I would always dissociate and think about, a dream life, what life would be like. Or it's interesting because of what I daydreamed about is where my future is going with my readings. And I can't say what that is. And it's really interesting how those interests have picked up and steered me to where I am now.
Well, I'm glad you're here with me talking on the beeline. Like, it's very interesting. I'm loving this conversation because it's just it's so different. It's so new, and it's actually refreshing, believe it or not, because it's like you just said, like, we've been dealing with so much crap, especially this year alone, what I'm saying, with the politics and the president and the COVID-19 and, everybody's social distancing, 6 feet apart, all this and all that. But stuff like this is like, it's still out there. Like, it's very interesting to hear about and to know that there are people with different, abilities and living different lives from the normal, what I'm saying? If you can call it that, whatever. But so how many crazy experiences have you had as far as like, people calling you like, hey, can you come check out my haunted house? Hey, I have, this going on in my house. Is there any way you could help me? Anything like that ever?
No,
No?
never, ever. No, but I do feel presence, the
Yeah.
presence. I can feel evil, I can feel good, but no, nobody's ever asked me to do that.
Yeah, that would be something right there that I would, that was like I was telling you, like I was looking for I wanted to talk to a medium for a Halloween special that I was doing, and I kind of wanted to get like crazy stories that maybe they would have. And I was getting a lot of kind of crappy responses and people saying things that weren't true. But it's interesting to me, even though I don't want no part of it. It's interesting to me, because it's a huge challenge, man. Dealing with something like that, especially people who are disbelief, and you can be a disbeliever, but if that does exist, you can believe whatever the hell you want. At the end of the day, if you're going through it, you're going to go through it. I don't understand how can anybody if you give somebody a reading, what is something that somebody can do if it's something that they don't like? Is it something that they can change? Are you seeing their future, or are you just kind of seeing like where their life is going at the time?
I can see where their life is going at the time.
Okay, that's what you meant by like the nuggets
like
changing.
I saw the one future with the woman. If she had the business, if you're going to stay with your business, this is the way it's going to be. But your future with working out in corporate America, this is where I see you. But we all have the choice of which road we're going to go down to take.
Got you. That's what I was going to ask, Gloria. I just remembered it when I asked that question. I was going to ask, like, do you believe in like everybody has like their own life set up for them? What the hell is the word for it? Like when everybody like fate. Yeah, everybody has like their own fate. That because usually if you're saying that, it's like, okay, you're go with what you're supposed to be doing. That's what you're supposed to be. That's your fate. That's what you're supposed to be on. If you are telling people like this is where I see you, but it all matters on what you're doing. So you tell me like, hey, Brian, you're supposed to be, running the beeline. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Keep doing it, keep going. And that's what you do. And then I'm like, well, I don't want to do the beeline. So why would I keep doing it or whatever? But you're telling me that's my fate. But I'm changing the fate. You know what I mean? I'm doing it now, but I'm changing it. Like, so is that fate anymore? Like, it's weird. I don't know.
Okay, I can answer it by giving you an analogy story.
Okay.
I had met this man and his wife, and he had these gifts, and I told him, you're supposed to be doing this. And he goes, I don't want to be, because everyone who does that is known to be, money grubbing and everything else. I said, but that's where you're supposed to be. But his whole life, this entire time, he has not been happy. He's been unsettled, and he still refuses to go where God wants him to go.
Got you.
And he goes through jobs. He went through 5 jobs in 2 months. God. Because he was being fired, told you're too, he's in his 50s, and you're too slow. And I said, but he goes, it all keeps coming back to being a truck driver. I said, well, you're supposed to be going out there and changing people's lives while you're on the road. You're supposed to be on the road. But he still would not go into the area. And he still hasn't, as far as I know. We haven't spoken in a couple of years because he doesn't like what I have to tell him. He comes to me for the truth, and then he doesn't like what I have to say when it comes to the truth.
That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the truth is like you think you want to hear it, but then you get the information and you're like, it's what we were talking about earlier, like Jesus, like sometimes it's just too much to handle. Sometimes it's just like, a lot of times people don't want to face, their honest, inner, self and shit too. Like I'm one of them a little bit. Like I don't like to sit there and, hear things that I already know. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty sure a lot of people are like that. You want to kind of live in your own little bubble for as long as you can, get away with it. But
a little bubble.
Yeah, it is. It's comfortable, right? Like you don't got to worry about things in your bubble until it pops and then it's your ass out.
Then you build another bubble.
I guess so. But yeah, it's really interesting, Gloria. I'm definitely was like, wanted to know, but it's crazy. Like you said, I'm still kind of thinking about like the demons and stuff like that. You said you had to deal with when you were younger. When did that get easier? You said you started to sleep in the dark at 10. Did stuff go away? Did you learn how to control things better, or control your?
Well, we started going to church, so things started changing in that area. Things got a little more positive. And then when I was 20, I had been married actually at age 21 or just before my 21st birthday. I don't remember. You know, when the younger you get, the harder it is to remember back farther when you were older.
I got you. I get what you're saying.
So my husband at the time was into paranormal, and I was telling him some things, and he kept saying, "There's something about you. Let's go investigate." So we were introduced to this couple who he had met somebody or had done some investigating. This is long before the internet. So it was 1970s, mid to late 70s, where he met somebody who said, "Oh, we're having," or came across a flyer that about paranormal stuff, till we drove to Delaware. And I was living in north of Baltimore, Maryland. So we're looking at about 2.5, 3-hour drive one way to go. And the couple came from Virginia Beach to Delaware. And so we became friends with them. So they spent time at our house. We went to their house to help develop, my gift and to understand it more. So Jean and Bruce were really good about explaining things and stuff like that. So that's how I learned more about it. And the interesting part is the drive from where we lived in Maryland to Washington, D.C., one way was a 2-hour drive. And our next door neighbor came over and she had overslept. She said, "I need to get to DC," because she was taking a program that I had, my husband and I at the time had already taken. And she said, "I need a ride." And I said, "Okay." And I said to him, "She wants to have a ride." He goes, "Well, go." We got to DC in a half an hour because we both created that we would get there in a half an hour and police cars would not really see us. We would not get pulled over. And I was going 75 miles an hour. It still should have taken 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
I was home, dropped her off and home again in 1 hour.
Wow.
And my husband said that, so we were both able to utilize that space of being able to bend time.
Yeah, you're dropping a lot of bombs on this episode right here, Miss Gloria.
You asked, no.
Yeah, I know. Shit. I mean, I'm not hating it, man. I'm just saying it's like one of the things that's so crazy is like, that's why, like I was saying, this is very refreshing. It's like something completely new. But you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just disbelief. You know what I mean? It's like, you hear something like that, and I've heard different like theories. I was a big watcher of like the Through the Wormhole television series they had. I'm a big fan of Neil deGrasse Tyson. I like a lot of like scientific stuff like that and scientists and talk in that nature. But you're talking like time bending and stuff like that or whatever. I heard a really good analogy about how like it's kind of like the line and then the loop in the line thing or whatever, where you kind of you bring it together, but it's still the part that's something. It was weird, but when you said that was the first thing I thought about in my head. And I'm like, if there is something that's capable of that kind of fluctuation, maybe it's possible. I don't know. I have no idea. But you're saying that did happen. I can't not believe you. Like, why would you come on? I mean, who the fuck knows? But it's just very interesting. It's like, damn, you experience a lot. And then with your abilities and stuff like that, maybe you're just tapping into a different part of the world that, some people can't. And that's where I think, you know what I mean? It's like, who the hell are we really? Like, what are we really? There's probably a lot of people with different mind states and different, makeups and molecular structures, whatever you want to look at it, that's built differently to like, work differently in our, environment or whatever. I have no idea. But it's interesting talking to you and hearing this stuff because, I've never heard this shit before.
Well, we only use what capacity of our brain. What is possible with using more of the capacity? And I've been one to want to push those limits. I used to be able to do telekinesis, and then it stopped. And I'm now able to do it again, but it's random. So I'm looking at how can I get this to utilize it more. And
Yeah.
I'm learning, still more learning about my gift, and stuff, and what I can do with my brain visually with me. When I sense danger, I can feel a bubble come right over me. I do have a bubble, you know, I look at it, people say protect your energy. I do a protective hedge, and I also do a bubble. But one day I was out walking my dog, and I just felt this truck pulled up and sat there and looked at me, and all of a sudden in my mind's eye, I could see a different bubble coming up over me like one with armor. And the minute it closed, the truck took off.
Yeah, that's interesting too.
Yeah, so weird things do happen, but the more you shine your inner light, the more people are going to know. My girlfriend told me this, on a subconscious level, they're not knowing why on a conscious level they're watching you, but they are drawn to the light on a subconscious plane.
I believe it. I believe it. You have a lot of friends that share these abilities with you, or there's just, you know, anybody else? Like, you have any kind of groups that you talk with?
I know of a couple of people that do recently who I've met, but I've had one girlfriend for the past 7-8 years who has knowledge about the abilities. She's not able to actually activate them, but she has a lot of knowledge. So I can go ahead and ask her a question, and she will have the answer because she has studied it. But there is trial and error that I'm finding out. You just have to be very careful with energy usage. I know I do. I was sending out feelers, an energy feeler, but it's like a boomerang. As heavy as your energy is going out, it's going to come back and get you.
I've heard that too.
Drain you. It's going to hit you, and then the information will come back with it. Within it, sometimes information will come back in a vision. Sometimes in about 5-10 minutes or up to an hour, the energy is bringing something with it. You know, visions or an energy, somebody's energy. So I have to be very careful on sending those out, and how,
Gotcha.
at what capacity, so as not to smack my head with it.
Yeah, I've actually heard that before. Like, the energy that you give out comes back at you, or whatever. Isn't that kind of like karma too? That's like the whole, like, kind of definition between it is, like, you know, if you do, you know, bad, you know, that negative shit is gonna, you know, have a reaction and kind of leave you kind of hit. I don't know if that's the same thing, but that's kind of how I'm.
It's similar to that. People call it a psychic attack if they're feeling attacked. But if you're sending out an energy feeler, what's coming back is your energy. You're not under a psychic attack.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, Gloria, it's definitely been very interesting. Let's talk about some of the life coach things that you have done. You said your Mondays with Gloria. What do you usually talk about on those videos?
Just life coaching things, how to cope, like with people with coming up for Thanksgiving, holidays, or what can you do when you're closed in? Where can you get activities? Facebook has events. YouTube has a lot of free videos that you can watch, movies. And, you know, so you don't have to sit and pay for Netflix. You can get movies for free, even the older ones on there.
Yeah.
My library has it through Canopy.
Yeah.
They have that I can watch 10 movies a month. So, you know, that's the type of things that I talk about. I will, you know, how to not be overloaded on the internet, social media, time to get off of it. And I do practice what I preach most of the time. And because it's like, oh, okay, this, you know, social media is addicting.
It is.
It really is. It's an addiction. So I'm weaning myself off of that addiction. And it's like, I'll leave my phone in another room, my Wi-Fi phone, because my personal phone, I do not access the internet with it. But what I'll do is I'll go in my bedroom, I'll turn on the TV, or I'll listen to an audiobook, and I will go lay on the couch to get away from the computer. So I talk about those kinds of things, and I do them, most of them live, and it's like this last, I've had one episode where I interviewed Amiko Jaffe, and she's a different type of fitness trainer. She will not help somebody lose weight. She believes that fitness is self-care and how you can self-love. And she says, I don't care if they don't lose weight, as long as they get up and they move and they get in tone. So she teaches the whole mind body healing, you know, exercising, moving, but not necessarily, you know, beat the person into submission like some gym fitness centers like trainers like to do.
Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting. I mean, doing that, it seems like in that way, it'll probably help out a lot of people who, you know, aren't as physically, you know, attributed to getting in the gym and doing push-ups and doing sit-ups and all that stuff or whatever. Just a mind state kind of change in those areas. You know, even I can, you know, understand the benefits to where you can understand like, hey, don't do harm for yourself by, you know, especially with weight loss, like don't do harm for yourself by eating these things. It's damaging. You know, why are you eating them? That's the whole point of.
Doesn't go down that road.
Oh, she doesn't do that either.
No, that's
Oh,
the
wow.
shame. That's shame and guilt cycle.
Really?
She's talking about it. She says comfort eating is okay, but just don't make a habit of it. Because what happens, let's say that I had a very stressful day. I'll go and grab a cookie and I'll eat it, which releases the stress hormone. Now you just don't go and eat a whole package of cookies every single day. That's different than that needs, and she doesn't believe in restricting food. Go ahead and eat it. The minute you mentally take the restriction off, you're not going to want it as much.
I understand that. It's like, it's the whole, that is a big mentality of like, you know, when you do like, oh, you can't have it. And then you're like, you want it more than anything. Then when you get it, you're like, oh, well, I don't really care about this shit anyway. You were fighting, you wanted the journey more than the damn destination and shit. I get it. That's pretty cool though. You know, I don't know if that'll work for me, but damn, you know, because I know I'm one of those people like, yo, listen, if I can have it, all right, I'm getting all of it. Right? But it is a control thing. I can understand that. Gloria, it's been very, very, very interesting, very different to speak with you. I'm very happy you contacted me and we did this interview. It's awesome. Is there anything else that you're doing in the future? Where anything you want to shout out on the show and tell people where you are? Or I think you're calling out of Arizona, right?
Yes, I'm in Arizona.
Okay.
And for people, if they join my mailing list, and I know people are so protective of their emails, if you join my mailing list, you will know about the specials before general public does. So what I will do is I'll tell you, I'm having an insane, I could tell this part of it, I'm having an insane sale over Thanksgiving because I've already let my mailing list know. But I will let them know the full details on Saturday before. The general public will get it on Sunday. So my mailing list will get all the best time slots and everything else. And if I'm selling products, they will get first stab at it. And if it's all sold out, I won't be marketing it to general public. So people will actually be missing out. So they can send me an email to hjwghm@gmail.com and say, I want to be put on your mailing list. And I don't send out newsletters all the time. You might get 2 a month. If I'm running a special, you might get 3. And I have a personal corner on there so people can get to know me and to know what I'm about. And they can find me, they can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/gloria.hass, HASS.9, or gloria.hass on Instagram.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm actually going to take all your information and on this episode when it comes out, I'm going to have it all lined up. I keep hitting my microphone. I've been doing that like the last 5 episodes, but I'm going to put all your information on the description box. So Beeline, if you guys want to follow Miss Gloria and, you know, maybe you want to contact her, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, she on here talking. We haven't had anybody like that on the Beeline so far. So anybody in my audience who's interested in, you know, maybe getting a reading, maybe you want to, you know, experience what her gifts are. You know, she doesn't sound like she's making anything up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm listening to her stories and stuff like that. I have no reason to disbelieve anything. It's very interesting. It's very interesting, Miss Gloria. Like, you know, I really appreciate you coming on and giving us all a brand new perspective on, you know, seeing somebody in your position and understanding something different in the world that, you know, maybe a lot of people aren't open to. But I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. I definitely am going to spin this episode around, and you know, I wish you the best. I'm glad that you're doing well for yourself. I heard that you you know, you were saying about, you know, some troubles you went in where you just recently became disabled. Was that correct? Is that what you said?
I was disabled with fibromyalgia in my mid-30s. But
Okay.
I am recovering from a head injury that has nothing, that was weird. I lost my intuition for 8 months, 7 months, and now it's back stronger than what it was because my brain had to heal.
Yeah.
And things are coming along really well.
Got you. Awesome. Yeah. Well, you know, I wish you the best. You know, hope business is booming, man. Like, you know, you got a lot of people who probably want to know some shit now. Like, you know, 2020 was a crazy year. Like, you know, nothing but questions. But Gloria,
Well, the winds of change are coming.
yeah, I hope so, man. I really do hope so. I believe in it. Like, I don't think we're at a depth's end or anything like that. I do think that change is definitely, you know, apparent at this point in the world. But you know, we'll see. We'll see. What the hell are you gonna do? You know, you gotta keep living, keep going forward, fighting the good fight. But thank you so much, Gloria. It's been amazing having you on Beeline. As you can see, we're very versatile. We don't just got one thing. We doing all types of things. So I hope that, you know, Miss Gloria spoke to you guys and told you some stuff you need to hear. But as for now, we're going to stay true, stay positive, pay attention. Until next time, yeah, boy, Brian B. We'll holler.